What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today we have a 2016 Mercedes S550 in for a single stage paint correction and a ceramic coating. What we're doing right now is just prepping it before we take it into the shop, and what we're going to be doing is a full iron removal. So we're spraying down Iron X right now, and what the iron remover does is it removes all the bonded contaminants to the paint before having a clay bar it. So it's going to be a heavy process to decontaminate this thing. Once we do the iron remover, we're going to do a full wash and clay bar to remove any excess oxidation and bonded contaminants. And with the prep process, you're going to want to make sure you get every single square inch of this vehicle, because when you start the paint correction itself, that pad is going to get clogged with all the dirt and contaminants that are bonded in the clear coat. If you skip this process or cut any corners with it, you're not going to be left with the best results possible. So make sure you be very thorough when doing the prep. We got the clay bar all finished up. Iron X is now being removed. We're doing a final pressure wash. Then we're going to dry up the vehicle and bring it into the shop to start doing the paint correction. For all the wheels, we used our wheel woolies to get inside the inner barrels, and we use a pressure washer to do a final rinse and make sure that brake dust gets out of them and nice and clean. Once the vehicle is completed being iron removed and clay barred, you can notice that the paint is already looking much shinier. Removing all that bonded contaminants is making that paint come back to life, and without doing a paint correction, it'll still look very good, but that paint correction, that extra 9 yards, that makes the paint look finished. And what the iron remover really does is it removes any sort of bonded contaminants that you look in your paint, especially with white paint. You'll notice it a lot. There'll be orange little specks, like orange and gold specks that look like iron, literally iron. When the vehicles get transported overseas, that rail dust sits on the paint, then the sun bakes it to it, and the dealerships don't ever remove it, they just protect over. Our job is to remove all that stuff, paint correct it, bring it back to life, and coat it with a perfect finish. So we're using a ceramic coating on this one as well to make it protected for 3 to 5 years. So we're gonna get the vehicle all dried up here, pull it in the shop, start the paint correction. I'll show you guys more of that process and what we do to figure out what steps are needed to get the paint back to life. But for now, start drying it. Okay, we got this car pulled up in the shop now. We got the lights set up. We're gonna do a test spot now that we can see all the swirls. I want to see if we should use the blue light or the orange one, and the blue one's doing the job if we put it from a distance. Alright, so with the test spot, we're going to be using a microfiber cutting pad with our plastic cut. And by using the microfiber cutting pad, it's going to leave a little bit of haze behind. And by doing that second stage, that second pass, we're going to be able to minimize the 2-stage paint correction, so it'll be just a single stage level 2 detail with us, then follow it up with a ceramic coating. Okay, we're going to start with priming the pad. With microfiber pads, you have to prime them. So we're going to grab a product. Put a nice little spiral around it. Then you're gonna work it in. So I'm gonna spread it in, cover up all the pores. Completely rub it in. Then you want to grab your brush and get the excess out. So what that does is it gives you a nice even pattern, so when you're doing the paint correction itself, you don't have a hazy spot and a spot that's cutting while one spot's not doing any work. So this leaves it level. Now for the test spot, I'm going to grab 2 dots and 1 dot of classic polish. And I'm going to work our way over to the hood. A little 2x2 section.
Naya,
Okay, so I don't know if you guys can be able to see this on camera, but there's the before. It's not too bad. There's just a few deep scratches. And coming up to the top that we just polished, there's the after. So you can see there's a lot of clarity, a lot of gloss, no more swirls. That test spot was good. Once you get the test spot going, you figure out what combo you're gonna use. Like I said, 2 dots classic cut, 1 dot classic polish, microfiber cutting pad, cycle it out, and that is the go-to process. So now we're gonna get moving on the rest of the car. As we're making our way around, it's coming out very, very nice with this pass that we're doing. Like I said, we're using classic cut, 2 drops, 1 dot classic polish, and it's coming out very, very nice. About 2 passes each, and nice little final wipe. You can see it's about 90% of it's coming out, 95 I guess. And Jacob's working on the bumper over here. He's using the blue cutting pad because we noticed that this bumper was repainted, so that makes it very, very soft. We're going to be very gentle with it, take extra precaution, using very little product, and just nice and slow motions. Alright, so with every paint correction, you always want to start with like the least aggressive method. You don't want to cut too much paint at first, because by doing that, you're going to risk taking out all the clear coat with a burn, leaving yourself with a burn spot. So right now, using classic cut and a classic polish, we're not cutting too much, but we're getting the results that we need. So always start with baby steps. Start with the bottom, work your way up, and if you have to go up to a heavier compound, move over. And that's what's good about Shine Supply, is they have all these different options for you where you can mix and match to get the results that you need. And with a single stage, you're not expecting to get perfect results, and right now we're getting about 95%, which is very, very good for a single stage, and this paint is being very friendly with us. So like I said, we're using classic cut and finishing polish mixed together to make the classic cut work longer and cool down the paint so we don't have to risk burning it. With paint correcting, you have to understand the paint and what it's doing. If you're leaving haze behind, that means you're either overworking it or you're working too hot and you're cutting too much. With any microfiber pad, you're gonna be left with a haze, but right now, with the process that we're doing, it's not leaving haze behind, which is a very good thing. That means we're working it very cool, we're not pushing too much pressure, we're not working the product in too heavy. And if we have to do any more heavier cutting, if there's a bad area, we would move over to Shine Supply flat top, and this is the heavier compound that would take out basically all the swirls and scratches that are needed, but right now it'd be too aggressive. It would leave heavy haze behind and we'd be getting the same results, but in a 2-step rather than a single stage. Just because you're doing a single stage paint correction doesn't mean that you're not going to get the results that you want. You can still get perfect paint with a single stage, and that's what we're doing right here. We don't have to go too heavy. There's no need to oversell for a multi-stage. And if you decide to tackle on this paint correction by yourself, if you're a DIY or like a weekend warrior type of guy, do not start with a heavy cut. Always do a test spot. Do multiple test spots if you have to. Know your products, know your paint. Alright, so Jacob's over here working on the rear bumper now, and using that blue foam pad did not budge. So we're switching over to a microfiber pad with the same process that I'm using, and we're doing a test spot right here to make sure that it does work. And that right there is a perfect example of why paint correcting is so difficult to conquer, because as every single panel comes by, you'll notice that the results that you're getting are very different. The pad starts to wear down if the material is not getting hot. Every single square inch of this vehicle does not come out the same. So having to understand what the paint is doing is very critical. Alright, so once... the hell? Huh? I think you put your feet under there, so like, they have that thing where you can put your feet on. I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
I think it's this button right here.
The sensor?
I think it's this button.
Here, close it. Alright, wipe it off. Get a towel on you. Wipe it off. Right off the bat, you can tell that this compound and, well, this combination was much, much better than this side. Even with 2 to 3 passes with the blue foam pad, it just wasn't budging. and to understand why, because the foam pad was not heating it up as the microfiber pad was. It's the little things in these paint corrections that will drive you crazy. Some cars are just a headache because you can't get the results that are needed, and that's what I keep saying, is to understand it. You have to. And when Jacob was training to do this paint correction, I literally told him to just go back home and read about paint correcting, understand what everything means and why these things do what they do. And once that understanding comes, you'll start to pick up the speed of how to actually manage to work with the polisher, how much pressure and all that good stuff. Now that we got the combo back going, we're gonna keep going around the entire bumper, move on to the rest of the vehicle, and hopefully finish the paint correction by today. This whole paint correction process takes about 2 to 3 days, and that's with the coating. The main goal is to finish correcting all in one day so you can pull it out in the sun tomorrow and do a sun check, make sure all the swirls and scratches are gone before you lay down the coating, because the coating is gonna make it permanent, and you do not want to cover up anything that is not supposed to be there. Therefore, tomorrow we'll lay down the coating, and the third day it'll be ready for delivery. On the backing plate is not spinning, that means you're putting too much pressure or you're not leveled. If that pad is not leveled, you're not creating heat, which is not correcting. So be very sure that that pad is spinning. Do a little look again. So that pad is rotating perfectly. Put a lot of pressure and the heat is being transferred onto the paint, giving you nice results. Okay guys, we're finally done paint correcting this vehicle. We did a nice single stage polish all the way across. As you guys saw, we used 2 dots of classic cut, 1 dot classic polish on our microfiber cutting pads, and we cycled it out with 2 passes, and we got very good results. And remember, stay with the least aggressive method possible so you don't risk damaging any clear coat. Jacob is over here doing a final wipe down, removing any sort of residue so we can prep it for the coating tomorrow. Guys, take a look at that paint. It is looking nice and pristine. No more swirls or scratches. It came out very, very nice with just a single stage. And as you guys saw with this paint, all we do is a single stage to get these kind of results, and it's basically perfect. And for the final wipe down, be sure to use a very nice microfiber towel, such as the Rag Company Eagle Edgeless. But that's all I got for you guys today. If you guys did like this video, give it a nice thumbs up, press subscribe, stick around for more detailing videos. If you guys have any more questions about paint correcting, feel free to leave a comment down below or DM me on Instagram at Genesis Detailing. But that is it for tonight. See you guys tomorrow for the coating tutorial. And peace. Peace!